Check, 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 check. It's your man DJ Cardio.
MC Vascular in the house. Keep it quiet like the mouse. Okay, we're going to look today at the cardiovascular system and the circulatory system. The first point is what cardiovascular means. Cardio obviously means heart, and vascular means blood and blood vessels. If you get asked in the exam what cardiovascular means, please, it's heart, blood and blood vessels. A lot of people tend to make a mistake by putting the lungs in there, but it'll only ever be the lungs if the word respiratory is in there. If it's cardiovascular, it's heart, blood and blood vessels. Actually, the left side. This
In this section, we're going to look at some of the definitions you need to know about the cardiovascular system.
Okay, we're going to look first at heart rate. Now, heart rate is the amount of times your heart beats in a minute. One way of looking at testing how fit you are is to take your resting heart rate. DJ Cardio, rest. Okay, here we have an adult man at rest. And we're now going to ask him to take his pulse nice and at rest. Okay, that's the end of 15 seconds. How many beats was that?
15.
15 beats in 15 seconds. So, obviously we need it for a minute, so you need to times that figure by 4 to see what your heart rate per minute is. So what's that sum, sir? Not good maths.
60.
60 beats a minute. Okay, so resting heart rate of 60 beats per minute. Okay, so your resting heart rate when you're without doing exercise was 60 beats in a minute. Do you know what average resting heart rate for an adult is, sir?
For an adult male, I think it's 72 beats per minute.
That is correct, 72 beats a minute, making you slightly fitter than the average adult man, sir. Happy days. Okay. Now to work out your maximum heart rate, sir.
My maximum heart rate is 220 minus my age.
And how old are you?
I am 25.
Making your maximum heart rate how many?
220 minus 20 is 200.
Yes.
200 minus 5 is 195.
195. My maximum heart rate, should I say, is 220 minus 60, because I'm 60 years old, making my maximum heart rate 160 beats a minute.
Could you explain to us stroke volume, please?
Okay, stroke volume is the amount of blood that the heart pumps out per beat. Now, the fitter you are, training a lot, each time it beats, it'll pump out more blood. Therefore, it won't have to pump as many times in a minute to get the amount of blood round your body that you need. So stroke volume is the amount of blood pumped out of the heart per beat.
See. Now can you talk about cardiac output for us, please?
Okay, cardiac output is the amount of blood ejected from the heart per minute. Okay, stroke volume is per beat, cardiac output is per minute. So to find out what your cardiac output is, what you'd have to do is find out first of all what your stroke volume was, how much blood per beat, and times it by the number of beats per minute. So, for instance, before we looked at your resting heart rate, which was 60 beats a minute. If your stroke volume was 2 litres per beat, you would times 60 beats, times 2 litres per beat, and your cardiac output would be 120 litres per minute. Okay, we're now going to look at what the effect is of exercise on the heart. As you can see, we have our adult running around the table in an inane fashion with his cricket pads on. His resting heart rate we found was 60 beats per minute. He's going to run around this table for a period of time. At the moment, his body's going to start requiring more oxygen. So his heart is going to beat a little bit faster, meaning his heart rate will rise. Each time his heart beats, his blood is pumping out blood. That is called his stroke volume. If his heart beats more times in a minute, he'll pump out more blood in a minute. This blood will carry oxygen to the muscles to make them work and keep him going. Getting tired yet? Looking good. the more exercise he does, the higher his heart rate will go. But remember, he can't exceed his maximum, which is 220 minus his age, in his case 195 beats a minute. So he'll not get his heart rate over 195 beats per minute, no matter how fast he goes. At this stage, he's getting tighter and tighter. He is running faster. His heart rate is rising. His stroke volume is the same, but his cardiac output is increasing. His cardiac output is increasing because his heart rate is higher. Beats times litres. Okay, we now have our tired adult who is now going to take his heart rate for 15 seconds. Here we have him taking his heart rate. Now we're going to expect that his heart rate would have risen because he's been exercising more. The more oxygen he needs, the faster his heart has to beat to get that oxygen to the muscles. Oxygen is the muscles' fuel. So at the end of the 15 seconds, which is... How many did you get this time?
40.
40. So you're going to times that by 4 to get your 60 seconds.
$160.
Okay, so we can see that we've gone from a resting heart rate of 60 to after exercise, it was only about a minute and a half of exercise, to 160 beats a minute. That is because his muscles needed more oxygen to do the exercise, so his heart had to increase in speed to get the blood around the body to pick up the oxygen from the lungs to get off to the muscles to allow him to exercise for longer. What you'll also find is what's called recovery rate. Our Sir right now is recovering. It's a bad thing to lie down on the floor, so sit up, stand up in fact, and put your hands on your head and walk around the tables again. At this stage, he's going to aid his recovery. The quicker he recovers, it shows that he's actually fitter. So if you ever want to test how fit you are, if you will contest how fast your heart returns to its resting heart rate, will give you an indication of how fit you are. The quicker it returns back to a normal, in Sir's case 60 beats a minute, the fitter we know that he is. DJ Cardio, stop spinning those discs. Okay, we've heard that there's two types of cholesterol. We've always heard about cholesterol having a bad effect on the heart. Can you explain the two types of cholesterol for us, please?
Well, MC Vascular, there are, as you say, two types of cholesterol. One good, one bad. The good cholesterol is called HDL.
HDL.
HDL is good cholesterol.
H standing for happy.
Thank you. And this is found in foods like fruit, nuts, whole grain. So remember, HDL, H for happy, means good cholesterol. Now, we're going to look at the bad cholesterol. That is LDL. D for depressed.
Doom.
And doom. Okay? This is found in things like high saturated fatty foods such as butter, chocolates, chips, anything
fried foods
with is fried. That's what we need to know. Now, this LDL
low boo
is not very good for you because it clogs up your arteries, which means blood can't go through it as quickly, so it's starting to clog up your arteries.
You get a high increase in blood pressure as well.
So we will increase blood pressure.
Okay. Okay, the final thing you need to know about the cardiovascular system is really about blood pressure. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know about blood pressure. First of all is a definition. Now, blood pressure is the force exerted on the blood vessel walls by the blood as it travels around the body. And I think you probably all realise that if your blood pressure is too high when you're at rest, it's not a good thing for you. Because obviously it means your heart's probably working a little bit too hard. The second thing you need to know about blood pressure is that there's two types, there's two figures. And if you've ever been to the doctors, one of those things put around your arms and they give you two figures. One figure is what's called the systolic blood pressure, and one figure is called the diastolic blood pressure. Now, I'm going to use Mr. Strawberry here as an example. So imagine that's a heart, it's red. The systolic blood pressure is the pressure of the blood on the blood vessel walls as the blood contracts, or as the heart contracts. So the heart contracts, and it's systolic, and then it relaxes and it becomes diastolic. So As the heart contracts, the pressure on the blood vessel walls. Diastolic, when the heart relaxes, the pressure on the blood vessel walls. Imagine that's a heart. It's as it goes contract, relax, contract, relax. Systolic, diastolic, systolic, diastolic. Okay, so blood pressure is very important, and again, there's a couple of things you can do to keep blood pressure down. Things that help cause, things that cause blood pressure, high blood pressure. Things like a bad diet, too much fatty food, high cholesterol food. Things like too much stress. You always see people who are very stressed in their jobs, and you hear about them having heart attacks. That's because the blood pressure goes too high. Things like too much salt in your diet, too much alcohol in your diet, and not enough exercise. All these things can lead to high blood pressure and can eventually lead to heart attack. But just to recap, as the heart contracts, systolic, pressure on the blood vessel walls. As it relaxes, diastolic, pressure on the blood vessel walls. Systolic, diastolic, systolic, diastolic.